Hey everyone, before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories, like this one. The city sparkled beneath my high-rise window, a shimmering expanse of steel and light stretching into the night. I reclined in my chair, the smooth silk of my blouse brushing my skin, the gentle whir of the coffee maker filling the stillness. My phone vibrated on the polished stone desk, disrupting the serene cocoon of achievement I'd woven around myself. It was a group chat notification, a family dinner this Saturday to celebrate Ethan's engagement. My heart clenched before I could stop it. Ethan, my charming golden brother, the one who'd chuckled loudest when my first venture crumbled. The one who'd labeled me the dreamer who never follows through. I skimmed the texts, mom's enthusiastic emojis, dad's proud affirmations, cousins RSVPing eagerly. No one had bothered to check if I was free. It was as if my place at the family table had vanished. I sipped my espresso, its bold flavor anchoring me. On my screen, my company's name glowed faintly, Vidian Tech Group. My creation, my team, my legacy, unknown to the family. For a moment, I stared at the chat, my faint reflection in the glass. Then a slow, intentional smile curved my lips, almost wry. A family dinner? I murmured to myself. Why not? If they still saw me as the girl who fell short, they were about to be stunned. 3 years ago, I stood in the familiar living room of my childhood, surrounded by the same floral wallpaper, framed family photos, and a palpable air of letdown. My startup had just imploded after investors backed out. At 26, I was broke, worn thin by sleepless nights, convinced passion could outpace expertise. "Stop chasing pipe dreams, Claire," my father said, arms crossed, his tone sharp like a boardroom verdict. "You're not cut out for business. You need a steady job." Ethan lounged in the doorway, smirking. "Told you, Dad." She should have listened instead of playing entrepreneur. Laughter rippled. Uncles, cousins, even Mom's silence felt like consent. My throat tightened. I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but my voice came out weak. It wasn't a pipe dream. It could have worked with more time. Ethan shrugged. Ideas don't pay the rent. Something inside me fractured then. Quietly, invisibly, a shift only I felt. As the argument wore on, my grandmother, the only one who'd ever believed in me, sat silently on the couch's edge. When I slipped out to the porch to breathe, she followed. Her soft, weathered hands clasped mine. "Let them talk," she whispered. "They only see what's easy to judge: failure, money, success. But one day, Claire, you'll create something they can't even fathom." She unhooked the small gold locket from her neck and pressed it into my hand. Inside, a tiny inscription, "Grow in silence." Tears stung my eyes. "Grandma, I don't know where to begin again." Her smile was gentle but fierce. "Start anywhere. Just don't shrink to fit their expectations." That night, I packed my car with what little I owned, a laptop, the locket, and a heavy ache in my chest. As my headlights pierced the dark, I vowed never to beg for their validation again. They'd call me a failure? Fine. But one day, they'd say my name with respect. The first year away was grueling. I rented a cramped Chicago studio with a dripping faucet, one window, and a heater that clattered all night. I worked part-time at a marketing firm to buy groceries, spending nights at a second-hand desk, drafting business plans under the dim light of a thrift store lamp. Each time I opened my laptop, Grandma's locket gleamed nearby. Grow in silence. Those words guided me. I started small, running freelance digital campaigns for local shops looking to grow online. One client led to another, then another. I devoured online courses, coding lessons, and business webinars like they were air. My fingers ached from typing, my eyes burned, but every late night edged me closer to something tangible. A breakthrough came when I met Marion Keller, a seasoned consultant who'd climbed the ranks as one of the few women in her firm. She responded to a bold email I'd sent, practically pleading for guidance. Instead of brushing me off, she invited me for coffee. "You've got something rare," she said after hearing my pitch. "You've already failed and kept going. That's the makings of a CEO." Marion opened doors to her network, coached me through investor pitches, and helped shape what became Vidian Tech Group, a blend of digital branding and tech-driven analytics. The early months were chaotic, clients ghosting, deals collapsing, my bank account teetering on empty. But then a mid-sized skincare brand took a chance on me, impressed by my persistence. I still recall the email confirming our first $20,000 contract. I stared at the screen, hands shaking, numb with shock. Then I laughed, part relief, part disbelief, celebrating with instant noodles and tears on the kitchen floor. From there, momentum built. Word spread. By the second year, we'd moved into a small, sleek downtown office, white walls, glass panels, and a stubborn potted plant I refused to let die. I kept it all from my family. They assumed I worked at some minor agency, and I never corrected them. Their ignorance was a shield, letting me build without their expectations weighing me down. When Vidian secured its first major deal with a luxury hotel chain, I signed the contract in a tailored suit worth more than my old rent. That night, I sent a silent thank you to Grandma, her locket still around my neck. Silence wasn't weakness, it was focus. I didn't need their cheers. Not yet. Deep down, I knew they'd see one day. And when they did, I'd face them without a flinch. The restaurant glowed with warm light and soft music, an elegant space where every glass gleamed and every word felt staged. I arrived early, heels clicking on marble floors, hair swept into a tidy updo. My navy dress was simple but impeccably tailored. The hostess greeted me by name. Table for the Bennett family. This way. I breathed in, the familiar scent of rosewood perfume steadying me. This wasn't the girl they'd mocked. This was the woman who'd built from ruins. At the table, all eyes turned to me. Ethan looked smug, arm around his fiancée, a lovely brunette with a warm smile. My parents were deep in wedding talk, chuckling. Well, look who made it, Ethan said, standing to hug me with rehearsed warmth. Claire, it's been ages since you showed up to one of these. Been busy, I replied evenly, settling into my seat. Dinner flowed with polite small talk, forced laughs, Mom fussing over starters. But beneath it, the old hierarchy lingered. Ethan the star, me the tolerated disappointment. So, Dad started. How's that, what was it? Marketing gig. I smiled faintly. It's going well. Good, he said, ready to move on. Ethan's fiancée, Lauren, leaned in, eyes curious. Wait, what's your company called again? I paused, sipping water. Vidian Tech Group. Her eyes widened. Vidian? As in the Vidian Tech Group? The one that just partnered with the Allura hotels. The table went quiet. Forks froze. Ethan's brow furrowed. What are you talking about? Lauren looked at him, stunned. Ethan, your company uses Vidian's analytics for client tracking. I saw Claire's name on the leadership page last week. I thought it was just a coincidence. Dad's voice was low. Leadership page? Lauren nodded. She's listed as CEO. The silence thickened, heavy as granite. I heard faint clinks of silverware from nearby tables, the soft hum of servers. Every eye was on me, confusion, disbelief, a hint of guilt. Ethan's face flushed. You're the CEO? I set my napkin down calmly. I am. Mom's hand drifted to her chest. Why didn't you tell us? I met her eyes steadily. When I failed, none of you cared to hear me out. So when I succeeded, I kept it to myself. No one spoke. Even Ethan had no quip this time. Lauren laughed softly, amazed. That's incredible, Claire. I smiled at her sincerely. Thank you. The waiter arrived with the next course, unaware of the emotional undercurrent. Dad cleared his throat, grasping for composure. Well, I suppose we misjudged you. I tilted my head. You didn't misjudge me, Dad. You just stopped believing I could rise without your approval. Ethan stared at his plate, silent. For once, I didn't need to explain or justify. Their silence was my victory, quiet, poised, complete. I leaned back, letting the moment settle. For the first time in years, I wasn't the outsider. I was the one holding the table together, and they finally saw me. The night after the dinner, my phone lit up with texts, Mom first, then Dad, then Ethan. None knew what to say. This silence wasn't dismissive. It was uncertain, maybe remorseful. A week later, my parents asked to see my office. I agreed. When they stepped into Vidian's headquarters, their faces said it all. Glass walls, the hum of teamwork, framed awards. It was a world far from the struggling daughter they'd imagined. Dad's jaw tightened as he read the brass plaque by my door. Claire Bennett, Chief Executive Officer. Claire, Mom whispered, awed. This is stunning. I gestured for them to sit. It wasn't instant. It took failing, learning, growing, the things you once called weaknesses. Ethan entered last, uneasy. I nodded to the chair across from me. Didn't expect you here. He cleared his throat. I owe you an apology. I shouldn't have said those things back then. I folded my hands. Apologies are a start, but if you mean it, show it. Stop mocking ambition, especially women's ambition. It's not a game, it's courage. He nodded, eyes on the floor. I turned to my parents. I love you both, but I can't pretend everything's fine. You pitted us against each other. Ethan the winner, me the failure. That kills confidence. If we're going to have a relationship, it has to be built on respect, not judgment. Dad exhaled, shoulders slumping. You're right. I didn't see how much I pushed you away. Mom reached across the desk, voice shaky. We wanted you safe. We didn't know we were holding you back. I softened, not for their sake, but because growth requires grace. I'm not angry anymore, I said gently. But understand this. Success isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about becoming the person no one else could envision. Ethan looked up. You really built all this? Yes, I said simply. With help, failure, and time. They sat quietly listening, no interruptions, no doubts. As they left, Dad paused at the door. Claire, he said, voice unsteady, we're proud of you. I smiled, not seeking approval, but finding peace. I know, Dad. I hope you're proud of yourselves, too, for learning to see me. For the first time in years, something new stirred between us. Not distance or resentment, but possibility. Months later, Sunday dinners lost their battleground feel. My parents began asking about my work with real curiosity, not just politeness. Ethan started a small digital venture, nothing huge, but his humble, eager questions made me quietly proud. One evening, as the sun sank below my office windows, I opened the drawer holding Grandma's locket. Its shine had faded, but the inscription, "Grow in silence," still gleamed. I traced the words, warmth spreading through me. I thought of the girl who drove off into the night, heart shattered, dreams dented, but alive. She had no proof, no guarantees, only faith forged in pain. Now, standing in a world I'd built from nothing, I saw the journey wasn't about revenge or validation. It was about freedom from their voices, my doubts, the need to be understood. When Grandma passed, I'd promised her I wouldn't shrink to fit anyone's comfort. That promise carried me through every late night, every rejection, every quiet triumph. Now it had brought me here, whole, steady, fully myself. My phone pinged with a text from Ethan. Hey, pitching to investors next week. Got time for some advice? I smiled, typing back always. Just don't fear failure. It's part of the story. Before closing up, I glanced around my office. The city lights glowing through the glass, my team's laughter echoing down the hall, the hum of a life fully lived. Grandma was right. Some things grow best in silence, roots, strength, belief in yourself. I slipped the locket around my neck, whispering to the empty room. They called me a failure once, but failure was just the ground where I learned to thrive. And for the first time, that was enough.